make sure it's all good. Let me know in the chat if you see me on Hopin. I'm gonna keep refreshing. It says live. Cool, it's loading, still buffering for me. But I guess I can get started. Oh, hello, awesome. Cool, so today I'll talk about how to become a designer without a design degree, how I became a full-time designer without ever studying design in school. And so for this session, it'll be super interactive. It will just be like a conversation. So I have the Hopin chat open, so you're welcome to ask me anything during the presentation. I'll answer them live as well to make it more interesting. And right now in the chat, comment what major you are or what about design interests you. Like, do you want to do UX design? Do you want to do game design, product design? I can talk about some experiences doing that as well. And so for today's agenda, I'll start with the story time about lessons I've learned growing up and what kind of career paths I want to go into, and then projects that helped me basically boost up my portfolio and help me learn design, and without ever doing a design degree, which involves a lot of hackathons too. And then I talk about my internship search, the lessons I've learned along the way and the failures I've encountered and the mistakes I made. And then I'll talk about how I utilize networking, aka making friends, to land my current job and how I connected with people. And then I'll talk about my conversion from intern to full-time and lessons I've learned through my internship, in case y'all are interning right now and want to do full-time. And then some resources at the end, and then also for Q&A. So on Grace currently, I'm actually this is like an older slides, but I'm a full-time designer at EA for full-time, and I also founded the largest design community in the world called Design Buddies. I'm also a part-time computer science and engineering grad student at SCU. Decided to take on a full-time role while in grad school from California and Est Bay area. Been born and raised here all my life, and then I have my random side hustles include art business and social media and blogging. And so for my journey, I started off as an anime, wanted to become an anime artist, and then later coming into college studying bioengineering pre-med because I was interested in becoming a neurosurgeon. Along the way, I had my social media and blog that I kind of grown as a side hustle, and then later decided to go into game design and development and study CS. And then now I'm doing UI, UX, and product design because my favorite part of game design was actually the level design, not the actual development part of it. And then along the way, I've also started my art business and built Design Buddies. And so for the past life, so this is when I graduated in June 2019 from undergrad. I wanted to become a game designer and developer. When I graduated between my undergrad graduation and grad school, I interned at Intuitive Surgical as a virtual reality robotic surgery game developer intern, where I made games to train surgeons to do surgery. That was fun, but I realized the medical device industry wasn't really the vibe I was going for, and not exactly like the projects that really like make me want to wake up and Zoom to work every day. Even though it was a great company, I had an amazing team who were super, super nice and like amazing mentor as well. I just feel like after working in the game industry, I feel like I just like vibe and fit in a lot more with the employees there. And then when you're ever internship searching or thinking of where you want to work, I feel like the overall industry, whether it's like medical devices, gaming, finance, social media, the vibe is a bit different for each. So that's another thing to look for when you're thinking about what career paths you want. Along the way, I also made my own game called Selfie, and then also did an internship/fellowship at Girls Make Games, where I taught game design and helped become a camp counselor at a gaming camp. And this is one of the games I made actually during my junior year. So it was 2018. I decided to do game design and make my own game and learn how to 3D model in Unreal. So that was what I want to do. And definitely in the long run, I definitely see myself going into more 3D stuff once more jobs open up too. And so now I'll talk about some projects I've done that helped me learn design. And so currently I'm doing UX and product design. So this is basically everything I did to supplement my design knowledge. I first took a free online 10-week design course that unfortunately is not available anymore, but that helped me learn the fundamentals. And there's a lot of resources like this in Design Buddies, which I can also share the link at the end of this talk. And I also did a lot of hackathons. I actually did 10 total, 10 hackathons plus design challenges in the beginning of 2020, where I gathered with the team and learned how to make it and basically work together to make a project, and also attended a bunch of workshops. I also worked freelancing for a startup and also for a YC company, their virtual school, and for virtually, and Opal's a mentorship app. And basically, these are just like opportunities I got from knowing people, my network, and my friends that helped me get these opportunities to get real world experience. And then I also had my art business, so I got to do a lot of illustration and also built design buddies and got to meet a lot of designers that way. And so my biggest takeaway from all these projects is to focus on products that ship. The reason why I freelance and also work for a startup, because I feel like, because during interviews, the biggest question I get asked is, how would you measure success, and like how would post-launch metrics work? And so you get the experience working full stack on a product. It's also a really good experience as well. And sometimes hackathons turn into startups, or you end up shipping the product. So during hackathons, you're always like taking a chance. So highly recommend keep doing hackathons. And also find a good online course. There's so many online courses out there, but these are kind of the trends I see as like good ones that are actually free. The one, it has to cover the design, you could design fundamentals like design thinking, and then sometimes it's like a live course where you're gonna work on a project doing so, and then having a mentor for feedback is super, super important, so you know you're on the right path live, and also having a community where you can connect with other students studying the same thing. Where you connect with people in design buddies, a lot of people are self-studying that as well. And so these are some courses that feel free to take a screenshot of this, but this is all in Design Buddies as well in the FAQ New to Design channel. And so you can definitely check that out, but I got it from there. But these are just some courses. Some of them might have cost money, like interactiondesign.org, but it's much cheaper compared to like a boot camp or another college degree. But these are just like degreeless.design is somebody put his whole degree online and what he learned from his design degree. And this is other course platforms. I know LinkedIn Learning, if you're a student, or sometimes your local library might have like free LinkedIn Learning for everyone as well. And this is my first ever design project I worked on for one of the courses I took, or the only course I took. And this is one of the hackathon projects I worked on, actually at this time last year, Hack for Humanity. And then another project I worked on, it's like a Chrome extension to keep track of your connections, like a CRM for LinkedIn. Oh, it's lagging for me. Oh, let's skip the slide. And then I also did daily UI challenges, just a few, just to improve my visual design skills and improve in Figma. And then I learned a lot from design projects, mostly a lot of involving user research and testing. It kind of separates this from, because like a lot of people ask, like, what's the best way to get experience without getting experience? Like, what's the best way to get real world projects? But I can turn personal projects into something that's real world by involving real users. And so it's really important to get user feedback and at every step, because UX design, product design, industry is all about designing for the user. And so it's really important that to make sure that you design the right thing. And so validating everything with data and having a way to measure success. And also having post-launch metrics as I determined before. So because the number one question I get asked during interviews is how I would measure success. And then work with the team to communicate, get better communication skills, and then also having an open mind to keep learning. So important when you're working in industry, because there's so much new and upcoming technology always coming. So it's so important to make sure have an open mind and be open to learning about new technologies. And a way I like to do this is going on product hunt and getting better at product thinking and seeing what product thinking is being able to kind of sense why people like products and what makes a product popular and what makes it profitable. And so I would like to do this by going on product hunt and looking at the top products and try to like think about why is it so good? Is it because people can multitask while doing it? Is it because it's like trending right now, or it makes people feel connected remotely? So like asking questions like that as well is what I personally like to do, even like when working full time now. And then Design Buddies actually has 16,000 plus members. These slides are a bit outdated, but it's a community I made where we have a bunch of stuff. So you should definitely join over here. And I'll talk about the internship search and lessons I learned along the way. And so this was my application adventure from about January till June. I sent in about 26 applications, got 6 interviews, and most of it got rejected / COVID canceled. But the feedback I got was I didn't play enough first-person shooters for another gaming company I applied to, and then second one was, can you redesign the logo of Venmo, which is like super weird for like a product design interview. But looking back, this is actually for a final round for a FANG company that I got asked that for an app critique. Looking back, I would ask like, why would you redesign it? Like, what is the user goal and business need for redesigning the logo, and kind of breaking the problem from there. So even though like this seems like a brand design question, you can make it a product design question by connecting it to like why you need to do this, and to keep asking questions and relating to like the need, like the user goal or the business need for that question. And then just some quick tips. These are the types of interviews you'll typically go through. This is for an internship. I know full-time it's similar. I never actually interviewed for a full-time role because I just transitioned from intern to full-time at EA. But it's pretty similar that I've kind of assumed when talking to people. And for behavioral, focus on storytelling and process. So having a beginning, middle, and end to your case studies, setting the characters, meaning like the context of your projects, going through iterations and the pros and cons and how they relate to user needs or business goals, and what was the outcome of your project, and do you plan on continuing working on it? And also creating a doc of frequently asked questions like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What is your biggest accomplishments? And trying to just like, especially on online, you can just have this open split screen and have that open at the same time. And also portfolio reviews, making sure you have clear problem and design decisions, and also having storytelling in your case studies. For app critique, relating every single thing of the app, like the colors to the flows and the interactions, the target audience to business goals and user needs. And then design challenges, a lot of people actually publish them on the internet, so just search them up. I know Google UX Design Challenge has a lot of people published it, so those are great examples you can model off for that. Kind of like a mini hackathon for that part. Basically, focus on storytelling and problem. And then the next thing I want to talk about is networking, getting to know others, making friends and making connections. Because especially in big tech, it's about who you know, not necessarily how good you are. Unfortunately, that's how it is right now, to be blunt. And so that's why it's so important to be network. Because I knew I did not have the experience, but I got the job without getting experience, without having the required degree or required experience. Because of my network. And then I learned a lot along the way. And then, so first you have a complete LinkedIn profile. And then basically having an all-star status. This helps you improves your SEO of your profile. And then you also want to engage with the community, because LinkedIn is another social network where you can also post to develop your personal brand that way on LinkedIn. So some ideas are just like lessons learned along the way, stories, and also like different portfolio pieces, or you went to an interesting conference, this is where you take it away, tag the speakers, things like that. And also commenting on other people's posts and engaging, basically treating LinkedIn like Facebook, but more professional. And also reach out to people. And the goal is to learn about their story and like don't sell yourself. And also making sure when you're sending connection requests, personalize them, talk about who you are and what kind of similarities you have in common so you guys can connect. And this is so I actually sent 400 connection requests for people in industry when I was first starting out in a span of 2 months. And this is what I sent 400 times. And I had about 30 coffee chats. Got ghosted most of the time, but that is completely normal. Don't get discouraged. And I would say, like, I'm a grad student studying CS, looking to pursue UX design, would love to learn about how you got to where you are today. And sometimes they prefer to message via message. Sometimes you get a phone call, or sometimes a Zoom call. It just depends what the other person wants as well. You get connected with them. And then sometimes we'll hop on the phone or hop on Zoom where we do like an informational interview. And biggest tip, just to go with the flow, treat it like you're talking with a friend. Find things in common, connect, ask them about their stories, and ask specific questions. Make sure you spend at least 10 minutes deep diving into their profile or their website and coming up with questions and being prepared. And also people love talking about themselves. So a lot of times they'll say yes. And then some questions I like to ask are really specific, like, oh yeah, I see that we both run cross-country and track. Like, how do things you learned from running help you as a UX design director today? I like to also ask about favorite projects, lessons learned, getting an insight about their industry, and also some like takeaways that I can't Google. So I like to ask like non-Googleable questions. And sometimes it's just like, here's what their long-term goals. So I meet like a lot of aspiring VPs, which is pretty cool. So it might be a good connection in the future too. And the main point is don't sell yourself. Don't like say like I'm contacting you because I want a referral. Like I got into EA because I didn't ask for a referral. My director asked me. So yeah, I once hinted at it, and it made it become really awkward in one of my first chats. So I stopped doing that. And also, networking doesn't always have to happen on LinkedIn. You can also join other communities like Design Buddies, which is the largest design community. We have a lot of professionals in there as well. We all can network with. We run conferences, sometimes Facebook groups, Slack, and Meetup. Also, a great way to find other design groups to engage in. But Design Buddies is top tier, number one. I highly recommend that. And yeah. And takeaways: don't be afraid to ask for an virtual interview. Like, even though like sometimes you might get ghosted like me in the beginning, the worst thing that happens, they say no or ghost you, and that is okay. There's so many people in the world. Don't let them discourage you. Sometimes people are just busy and don't mean it at all. But make sure you be clear about your intentions. Not like, oh, I just want to know how it's like to work here, or like I just want to like get to know you. But say like, I want to get to know you because I am interested in pursuing that field. And so make sure you're as clear as possible, because these professionals are super, super busy. You need to like make sure you pitch it correctly as well. And then don't ask for a job. Basically, if you ask for a job, you get advice. If you ask for advice, you get a job. How do you ask for information to interview? Yeah, I basically just send this message, and then let them. And then like after the reply, I asked if if they would like to communicate via message or phone or Zoom call, and just schedule it that way. And then focus on storytelling. Like the mistake I made in the beginning was like, oh yeah, I'm Grace. I run this community with like 16,000 members, and it made it sound so weird. Sound like it made the other person feel kind of weird. So I would just like talk about what I do. Like, oh yeah, I run a large design community, instead of like flexing metrics. And like, cause it feels more like a job interview the more I mention numbers. So I just try to focus on storytelling, like about myself and how I got to where I am today, instead of like focusing on too many of the numbers, because that makes it like kind of less human. And also make sure you follow up, show that you are grateful. And also if you have any action items like, oh, you want to introduce them to someone else, then make sure you follow up with that as well. And I'll now talk about my intern to full-time experience. And so for our internship, I was on the experience design team in EA's technology org. So EA has like a few different organizations, different divisions of the company. There's like games, and there's technology, and there's marketing, and there's people experience, which is like HR. And I work in technology, which is one of the biggest branches next to games, which is studios. And so I basically work on everything else besides games. And I work on mostly player and employee experience. And I mostly had 4 projects and 1 main project. And a typical week, we would have like a team all hands. We get updates, team critique sessions, where we get feedback on everyone's work, team happy hour, we play Among Us, and then one-on-ones with manager and mentor, and meetings we collaborate really closely with PMs and engineers, and also intern events and employee resource group events. And I learned a lot of things through my internship. This is my first ever design internship, but I learned the importance of keep asking why, making sure you design the correct features. Like, why is this color this way? Why is this flow this way? Why are we making the users click on the game instead of the help articles first? And just like keep asking questions and make sure that you're designing the right thing. And also design for scalability, making sure like how this page will look okay if there's like 10 games, which is like versus like 20 games displayed on the page, and think of different edge cases and use cases of your game. And then ask to help out. So this is how I got basically a really great recommendation letter, or really great, just like got to stand out a lot, because, and I asked people, like if I finished my project early, I asked if I can like help out with anything. And in turn, it will make myself look good because I'm being proactive and wanting to help out, but I also get more experience and more opportunities that way as well to get being involved in different projects and learn. I would also document everything. My accomplishments, my wins, and that's helped me negotiate my salary for full-time. And also making sure that communication is clear. After the meeting, I'll make sure to write down what we talked about and some action items for everyone, and also networking within the company. So it helped actually recruit more people from the company to actually join my team without intending it to be. So that helped my team carry into and win. It also fed into how I was able to negotiate a much higher offer. And basically for full-time conversion, honestly, I didn't do much. It was just, well, I did all of that to prepare myself. And so I feel like different factors that played a role in my really quick full-time conversion So actually the first one of my org to get the full-time intern role, a full-time role from an internship. And I posted a lot about my experiences and learnings on social media. And it got the attention of a lot of like C-suite VPs and also the people experienced HR people. And so they all knew my name from LinkedIn. So highly recommend that. And my manager actually initiated it. I didn't do anything. And then I was able to kind of gather all this data I did and how it helped my team as an intern and the value I brought, and use that to negotiate a higher offer. And some resources I would like to share is these are compilations of different resources. These are all in Design Buddies, which I'll link after this, and you can check that out as well. And then applications, these are just some applications I use on a day-to-day basis. Figma for design prototyping, Notion as like a life wiki, Miro for brainstorming, and Discord for human communication. And I learned a lot of life lessons all through this. Don't be afraid to take risks, because I know I went through a lot of career changes. The worst case is you fail and you learn something from it. And don't listen to people who tell you can't accomplish something. I actually had a professor telling me I can't do design because my major is in bioengineering, but I never actually listened, even though they might be like super accomplished in their field. And you know yourself better than anyone else. It's not your job to satisfy your parents or your professors, even though they might seem like masters of their craft. They're not masters of you. And also, balance is essential for long-term success. Making sure you do something that makes you happy every day, making sure that you're looking forward to something. Don't burn yourself out. And that concludes my presentation. Feel free to ask me anything, and I'll make sure to drop the links in the chat as well so you can connect with me. Oops, my LinkedIn link is broken. Hopin always kind of does that with the links. But yeah. Well, I'll give it another minute. I know you're all pretty tired from hacking, so feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. Cool. I guess that concludes the presentation. Feel free to watch the recording on YouTube or connect with me. How do I manage my time? Yeah, great question. So I lived out with this principle of, well, under-promising and over-delivering. And what that means is if people tell me to do something, like whether it's for like anything, if I'm not given a strict timeline and I'm the one choosing when I want to deliver the task, is I would tell them like 3 times the amount of time I think it will take me to finish something. And then I would finish in like half the time and delight them, or it gives me also a lot of buffer room to in case something comes up. And I also have everything on my calendar and making sure I don't have too many meetings in one day. I have time to work as well. Making sure I'm balancing stuff like that. So sometimes it means scheduling like a chat with a friend like 3 or 4 weeks in advance, and my schedule fills up. So that's also how, to be honest. And also I take notes on Notion. I have a whole like life wiki. I keep track of everything as well. So Notion. Cool. If there's something else, feel free to join Design Buddies and connect with me on any of my social media platforms. And have a nice day. Hope y'all get, by not managing it. Oh, and but yeah, hope y'all have a nice day and have fun with your hackathon projects. I know how it feels to finish a hackathon. I was there. I mean, there is ways to actually manage your time. You don't have to like not manage it. I mean, if you are working full-time or interning or even a student, it's so important to make sure you manage your time so you can finish everything, because it looks super, super bad to your professors and employers if you promise something you can't deliver it because you can't finish it on time. So yeah, basically just as some tips, making sure that you are balancing everything out with your schedule. Yeah, you're welcome.